Hello, Albert. How are you doing today?
Good. Ash, I'm excited to be here.
Me too, me too. Same here. Before we proceed, Albert, do you have a favorite quote, something that motivates you, inspires you, you would like to share with our audience?
Sure. I think, something that we kind of follow here is if you're not losing, you're not winning. That's certainly something that we've had to adopt many times as we've failed so many different times. And it certainly feels like we're losing. But in turn, it just turned out to be great learning as we continue to scale, continue to grow, and continue to just learn different ways and processes on how to do things. So that's what I would leave. If you're not losing, listen, you're not winning, right? If you're not failing, then you're not winning. So that's just totally part of the process and is actually good. You'll fail a lot more than you win.
Indeed, indeed. That reminds me, when I was a kid, I was a very short guy. Like when you go to the school prayers, you stand according to your height, right? So I was the guy who used to stand in the front of the line because I was very short.
Right.
And I started playing basketball not because I liked the game, because I wanted to improve my height. That was one
Nice.
of the
Yes.
motivation, right?
Yep.
And I think in a couple of months, I just gave up. One of my sports teacher mentioned to me like, "Oh, you look very, very tall," even though I didn't even increase in even a centimeter. I
Right.
said, "What? What are you saying?" He said, "Yeah, you're looking very, very tall. It's good that you're playing basketball." It's like, "No, but I stopped playing it." So why? It's because, I'm not good at it. I'm tiny. I can't,
Right.
basket the balls and everything. It's like, well, you're increasing your height. And if you're not trying,
Mm,
you're not going to increase more.
right. That's right. Yeah, no, it is my son, he's 15, he plays basketball, he loves the sport as well, and we've
Yeah,
certainly even witnessed with him, growth. I mean, it just seems so quick, honestly. They say that those sports that require you to stretch, like swimming or basketball, do actually, affect the height. It does
it
help it
does.
out, so,
It does.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I give all the credit to the sports for whatever height right now I have, 5'8", but I was never expecting that I will grow that tall
That's right, that's right.
before the sports. Great stuff. So Albert, imagine we are in room of full of ambitious founders, early stage builders. No one knows your name. They have never seen you. And you walk into the room. The mic is in your hand. The stage is yours. The spotlight is on you. And people are looking at you. Who is this chap? This handsome dude coming on the stage. And we don't know who this person is. What is going to say? And there you go. You got your opportunity, window of opportunity to tell them your story. Tell them something that they'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna stick in this room for the rest of the hour." What
Mm.
would be your story?
No, that's a great question. First off, I could tell you right now, there's not gonna be nobody in there that talk about this good looking or this handsome guy. That's usually not a description that I typically get. It may be funny or outgoing or those type of things, but as long as my wife thinks that I'm handsome, Ash, that's all that matters. So a couple of things. One, I'm always walking into rooms like this all the time. We have various different things that we're attending, conferences, board meetings, PTO meetings, you name it. But founders are by far my favorite. Like, these entrepreneurs, those that get out there and do, whatever it is that they can to try to bring a product to the community. And so, one of the things that I would say, obviously, I guess it depends on what the context is. If I'm there just as an introduction, I would simply introduce myself. My name is Albert Howard. I run a fintech software company that provides live chat, video chat, audio chat, virtual assistant chatbots for banks and credit unions with a specific focus on credit unions across the United States. So that would be probably an intro, high level in terms of what it is that I do. But in terms of like being able to relate, oh my gosh, Ash, I can't tell you the amount of failures that I've gone through before finally, right, having success with MiniBranch. I remember starting at 16 years old, me and two of my buddies would go door to door in our community, in our neighborhood, asking if we could paint their curbs with their numbers just to try to raise money. I mean, so, we've always done various types of things. We've had big ambitions, big goals. I think another thing that's funny also, Ash, when you come into a crowd that is full of founders, if you were to ask any of them, right, you could ask it in general, who here feels like they are not as far ahead as they should be, right? Like They all raise their hands because every single one of them can relate, feeling like, I feel like I should be a lot further ahead. And I think a lot of that is just because, as you're growing, as you're learning, and you're having to adopt, especially with technology and AI and all of the tools that are available right now, like you're having to, you almost feel like you're falling behind. And so I would encourage these founders as well. Like, listen, you may feel like you're falling behind, but I could tell you you're light years ahead of the other average person that is out there. The fact that you are in this room with other founders demonstrates that you are head and shoulders above many that are out there that are not even in a room similar to this. So, little
Indeed,
something I would throw
indeed.
out there, Ash.
It's always the people who are proactive and who are ready to take risks, right? Who are the people who take an extra mile to go to the event? Who are the people who go to these offices and take the lift next to the big investor? Who people who keep going to the VCs, collecting their nose? People who live on ramen for
Yes,
months but
exactly.
still working on the solution, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So Albert, talk to us about where the story began. Where did the idea for this service, video chat, audio chat, all these kind of verticals you have,
Yeah.
came from?
Absolutely. So, Asha, it came about. I don't want to say accidental, right? Everything happens for a reason. But we have a sister company. It's an ATM company called A1 ATM. And at the time, we had many credit unions that would come to us and they'd say, Albert, we like the idea of ITMs, which is an interactive teller machine. It gives them the ability where their member can connect to the branch through video chat at that machine. But Albert, we don't like the cost of ITMs. If you guys will create a solution allowing us to be able to have video chat with our members, but without having to pay over 100,000 American dollars for, one machine and tens of thousands for each additional, we will adopt that technology. So in July of 22, we launched what was kind of the idea of MiniBranch to be able to help solve that piece, to be able to have video chat that would actually launch just through the mobile device of that member rather than tying up that machine just simply through the marketing components. Now, Ash, here's where things really started to grow pretty quickly. Is in October of 22, we had a credit union that launched an ATM. They're based out of Oregon, the state of Oregon on the west coast of the United States. They launched an ATM through our ATM company in Boston, Massachusetts. They were so successful, they've added to date actually thousands of members. But up to that point, they were very successful. They added dozens of members, within a couple of months. And they said, Albert, if we can have this level of communication and connection to our members that are 3,000 miles from the closest branch, I want to be able to have this communication and this connection with our members on everything. We want this on our website. We want to be able to launch it through apparel. We want apparel where we can attach a mini branch quick response code that they can scan it as we're out and about doing business development, community engagement, and they can connect instantly to our branch. They can open up accounts, apply for loans, everything like that. So in October, at this point of 22, we realized this is actually a lot bigger than what we had initially conceived. So we hit pause on all marketing and everything that we were doing, all promotions, everything like that. We revamped and relaunched what is now the current mini branch platform that you see in March of 2023. And that was where it started including and incorporating much more of the communication platform and channels. Now, Ash, I'll be honest with you. Up to this point, we're talking, over 2 years of development, of building out, right? Like nobody sees that. They just see like, oh my gosh, they were an overnight success, but they never see the countless hours. They never see learning these different platforms that you've never knew anything about before. In
Mm,
that time, as we were building, honestly, we had no desire, Ash, to even build out the mini branch platform. We actually went to those that would become and are currently are our competitors and said, hey, we think that we've got a good market here. We think we've got a good idea here and that there's an appetite. We've got credit unions coming to us. Now, they laughed at us thinking that there's no appetite there. There's no want or need. If they want to be able to have that stuff, they could come to us. And we're like, listen, you're charging way too much. Like if you bring down the cost, our focus are the growing credit unions, right? As opposed to small credit unions, more of a mindset thing. So this is for those smaller asset size, those growing credit unions. I'm talking 150 million in assets and below. Like there is a market here. And they still said, nope, nope, nope. If you think there is, they can pay this price. This is the price that we have. And we're like, this is not going to do. So Ash, that is what actually led us to the drawing board where we began to just build out and then launch, mini branch. So that's kind of build out, and
Right.
then it's just
So
grow.
basically, it's a service for credit unions to integrate video chats into their system, into their platforms, right?
Exactly.
Um,
And live
you
chat,
have created.
texting.
Sorry.
I said, and live chat and texting and virtual assistant chatbot, all of that audio chat included with that as well.
All sort of like a communication
Yep, exactly right.
platform.
Full
So
communication.
is it like a standalone platform like like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, or is it more infrastructure level where you provide them APIs and then they integrate into their own platform,
Great question.
like a white label?
It is a standalone platform, so they don't
Okay,
even need to have anything built out. They don't need the infrastructure, the back end. They've got Mini Branch, and it will provide that communication platform for them.
right. Okay, that's great. And you said that you actually reached out to these credit unions and they said that they are facing this problem and then you started working on it. Usually founders take a different approach. They start building something and
Yes.
then they look for the customers. Why did you do that? Why did you go other way around?
Yeah, so a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to say it's the smarter way, but it definitely is it's a much more beneficial way. You start getting capital, you start getting revenue a lot faster when you know that you've got people that already line up that say, "Hey, if you build it, we will buy it," right? And so when you've got that lined up, then it's just a matter of cool, let's go and let's build it. What else do you want? So the nice thing about that, Ash, is that as we built out Mini Branch, we did it with their input. What else would you pay for? What else would you like? What else would you like for us to add? And so from there, we knew exactly what it is they wanted, and we built out a product exactly around them, around their needs. And so rather than trying to build a product and then looking for people to sell it to, we found the people to sell it to who were willing to buy it. And then we said, cool, now let's build it. And so,
Mm,
Ash, up to date, we've never had to raise any funds. We have just been self-funding from day one. We use our own capital, and it's just been, yeah, it's just been amazing.
awesome. Great stuff. So you didn't have to do any market research. I mean, I guess it naturally happened
Yes.
because you you got the customer first before even
Right.
building the product, which is
Yes.
pretty good. Um, Tell us more about what draw you specifically to the credit union ecosystem rather than the wider retail banking space.
Oh man, absolutely. So for a couple of things. First off, I've been a member of a credit union since I was 9 years old, so I already had some history. It was a credit union that gave me my first auto loan when a big bank located in my country declined me at our university campus for a credit card. My credit union, who I've been with since 9 years old, gave me an actual auto loan where I bought my first auto. So I already had like that level of commitment. I had the familiarity. Now, this is when I was living out in California. After I got married, we moved out to South Carolina, where we currently reside. And in South Carolina, man, I'll tell you, we had just had our firstborn son. My wife and I'm looking for banking hours. There was no credit unions that were hiring at that time, so I applied for a bank that was hiring. So I worked, I worked in the branches for close to 10 years as well. I've only ever been hired by two banks, but both of them merged into two other ones. So technically, I've worked for four banks. When I left there, I went to go work for an ATM company, A1 ATM, where we would launch ATMs out through our bank in different credit unions will call them employee groups, banks will call them bank at work locations. And when I started working at the ATM company, I started working with a couple of the credit unions that ATM company already had. Ash, it took me back to my first love, man. When I'm meeting with some of these CEOs and they're like, you need to go talk to so and so and so and so and so and so, and they're naming all of these other folks. It was so different than what I had grown accustomed to within the banking sector, which within the bank, where you're not only competing with every other bank or credit union or financial institution down the road, man, you're competing with your own branches, a part of the same bank. Like it's highly competitive. There was no
Mm,
looking out and trying to help out other banks down the road or anything like that, unlike the credit unions. And so excuse me, after I met with him, that really just kind of took off because then I'm going to this CEO who's introducing me to this one. They were all looking out for each other. The mentality was totally different. And so that's what kind of got us into the credit union kind of space. I will tell you, we do also have some banks that are partners, multi billions. That is not who our current target is. That's not who our market is. We built this out specifically for those credit unions that have been getting left behind in smaller, those that are smaller in asset size, not in mindset, but in asset size. And so that is who we've built it out. Now, Ash, another thing as well, like I think it's so important, right, for founders of any company, you've got to identify your niche and you've got to identify it very quickly. The faster that you identify it, the more narrow your focus becomes. The more narrow your focus is, the more likely that you're going to be hitting the target each time. When we
Mm,
launched MiniBranch, we're still trying to wait to get a couple of credit unions and we start thinking, hey, there's a lot of other folks, a lot of other industries that could benefit from this. We could go after accountants, right? That may want to meet with their different clients across their region or country or whatever. But we can go after attorneys. We can go after realtors. We can go after, like, we're naming all of these other industries that we're like, man, let's try to do it. And we had to go back to our mission. Nope, nope, nope. This was for financial institutions. This was for credit unions. And then even more narrow, right? You've got close to 5,000 credit unions just in the United States alone. And even that is still pretty wide, right? It's a narrow industry, but still kind of wide of the net. So let's narrow it down more. Who specifically was this for? Man, this is for those credit unions, 250, 300 million in assets and below. Those that, for the most part, have been completely been left behind technology wise. So narrowed it down even more so. So that's something I would encourage all of the founders. Like, listen, it's good if you've identified an industry, narrow it down even more so. Are you going after, if it's banks, if it's credit unions, and then narrow it down more, right? Like maybe as you start doing more and more demos, you start identifying, there's a lot more female CEOs that are saying yes than there are even male CEOs. So now you target it even smaller down. So I would certainly
mm,
encourage folks to think about that.
got it. That's that's actually a very good strategy anyways when you're going towards when you're trying to figure out how you can grow your business. And I want to touch the basis on how the data from the interactions these credit unions are using, but before we go into part and the behavioral insights, can you give us a sense of the size of the business, where you are in terms of the revenue, number of customers, size of the team?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got about 15 on our team currently. In terms of revenues, we have, our value, I think we actually maybe just broke or about to break 8 million right now in terms of what, I guess the company would be valued at. And it's just been tremendous growth. Every single month we continue to see an increase in revenue, which is tremendous. You certainly, as a company that doesn't have the pressures, listen, I encourage folks this as well, Ash. One of the things that I encourage people is early on, we did have folks that were willing to invest in Mini Branch. Our
Mm,
mindset at the time, I don't know, maybe it was wrong, maybe it was right, but we felt like if we were to take on investments that early on, we would be giving away a much larger chunk of equity. And we knew it was not going to be worth as much as what it was going to be worth in a year, right? So we started looking down the road. And I'll tell you, it's much easier to look down the road when you're not just trying to feed yourself, right? Like if you're trying to I've got bills to pay today, then it's certainly a lot more enticing, a lot more tempting. So get to the point in place, if possible, where you're not just trying to feed yourself today, but when you no longer have that pressure, you are able to look 1 year, 3 year, 5 years down the road, and you're able to make much different and better decisions when you're doing that as well.
yeah,
So
capital is anyways quite expensive when you are at the early stage. It's get more
absolutely,
cheaper the more further you go ahead. And
absolutely right.
with a team of 15 people, 8 million valuation, incredible. I would salute you for that. Have you raised anything or you just bootstrap everything?
No, we have bootstrapped everything up to this point, and honestly, with our level of growth, we plan on continue to bootstrap and just keep doing it.
That makes sense.
It gives
Yeah.
us the flexibility also, Ash, right? Like
Yeah.
we're not having to wait to talk to the board, we're not having to get approvals, we're not having all of these other venture capitalists that want a board seat that are like, no, 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 we don't think you should do that. It gives us
Mm,
the ability that we could pivot very quickly. We're able to react. So if we notice that there's something not working or something we need to introduce, we just do it, Ash, and we just go
mm.
down that path and roll with it. So
Great stuff. And I want to touch on the data and how the credit unions have adopted the change. But before we go into that, where do you see the greatest resistance when shifting from in-branch interaction to a remote service in these credit unions?
I think we're starting to see a shift in the mindset on that. I'll tell you, COVID was a big kind of part in that, and that it made a lot of these financial institutions, a lot of these credit unions, C-suite level executives realize that in order to compete, they needed to start utilizing digital technology. And I think that the problem up to that point was that they were looking at it so like one line, one focus. It was, well, it's either connection and relationship or technology, rather than looking at how technology can complement and extend that relationship, meeting the member wherever they are, not requiring them to get out of their house, out of their jammies, into their vehicle, drive 3 miles down the road, drive, 2 kilometers up the road, and then go into the branch. No, man, you can meet them wherever they are. So you're actually starting to see a shift in the mindset in terms of realizing like this is something that we need. So then the
Mm,
next barrier after realizing this is something that we need was the price. Well, we know that we need it, right? But it's the price. It's just too expensive. And so that's where Mini Branch has been able to position themselves as giving these credit unions the access to the latest in technology, but at a price point that they can afford. And so, when they see the price point, they get so excited because for the most part, there's really only two competitors that are in this space, and they focus on the top 20% of financial institutions. I don't blame them. That's their business model. I understand why it's a lot more profitable. We have some that are multi billions as well, and it's great. But going back to our mission, and honestly, it's crazy. They focus on the top 20%. We'll take the other 80%. Ash, there's
mm.
80% that's left wide open. And so that has been our business model. That has been our focus, is just taking what has been overlooked. They've only had one choice up to this point. You either pay us what we say or you're just missing out. And so those days are gone.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You have proven it in last few years, right? So talk to me about how did you came up with the pricing? You already had this insight from your initial customers about what prices they are not willing to pay. But you need to come up with the price what they are willing to pay because you have also want to make
Yeah.
profit, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges founders have is to come up with a pricing plan and the revenue model. The reason behind this being a challenge for founders is mostly what happens is either founders, first time founder, they're not habitual of charging a lot of money or any money, to be honest, and they always want to have, they're always emotionally involved with their product, so
Yes.
they always want to like improve their customers life, and then while they're doing that they want to make money but they don't want to charge too much.
Yes.
That's what I've felt with founders I've
100%.
been interviewing for a long. So what do you think? So explain to me what were the can you, I don't know if you can take your competitor's name, but if you can you tell us who are the competitors and what are their pricing plans, and then how are you competing with them?
Yeah. So it's a great question. So a couple of things. One, I do think that it's like every business kind of goes through that, especially every single founder or CEO or CFO, whoever it is that's coming up with the actual like pricing. And you're really in a discovery phase. And, what I would encourage is get out of that discovery phase kind of as quickly as possible. I say that just know it seems like you're probably always going to be in a discovery phase. You start bringing new things and it's like, okay, it's been a year. We need to probably take a look. Is it time to go ahead and raise the cost or anything? But yeah, we were certainly within that. And, Ash, what I encourage folks is, man, it's okay if you've got one or two, which by far are the hardest ones to get, because every single one, they like the idea of the latest in technology, but nobody likes the idea of being the first one to test out that technology. And so it's like, yeah, 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 no, we hear you. So how many clients do you have? And it's like, well, I mean, you'd be the first, you'd be the first. And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, well, we'll get back to you, right? And so like those first couple were by far the hardest. And so listen, I would encourage folks, if you've got to do listen, I'll give it to you for free for the first couple of months. In our case, we said, listen, we'll charge you basically at cost what it's going to cost us. It was extremely minimal. Now, what I would encourage folks as well is there's a couple of books, and this is what kind of really shifted the mindset. I don't know if you've ever heard a guy named Alex Hormozy. He's got a few good books, does a lot of
The
business
$100
stuff.
million leads and
$100
everything.
million
Yeah.
money models, $100 million offers, $100 million leads. And that was a book that was transformational from our perspective, because thankfully early on we did read a couple of his books, including $100 million leads, and we raised the price. I'm talking 10x. You know what was crazy, Ash? Let me tell you this. We started getting a lot more agreements after we raised the price 10x than when we had it 10 times cheaper. Because the problem was is that they equated the value with the price. They're like, oh, their price low, the value must be low. It wasn't until we jacked up the price and we just started increasing the amount of value. I'm talking we 10x the value also to justify the 10x in price, that all of a sudden it was like, man, that value must be good because that price is pretty good as well. And so, again, kind of another one of the philosophies you can say within the book is you need to price it out so good that they feel stupid saying no to it. So we
Mm,
took a look. We knew what our competitors were charging because we wanted to actually partner with them to have them do it, right? But they said, no, here's what our fees are, here's what our costs are. And we're like, that's too much. That's ridiculous. The problem that they had as well is that to this day, right? Like here we are 3 years later, and they still have a very like blurry price structure. So
mm,
what they'll do is they're like, oh, cool, you want live chat? It's this price. But if you want audio chat, it's going to be this on top of it. If you want video chat, it's this on top of it. If you want a chat bot, it's this on top. If you want texting. And so it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, can you just give me one simple price? That, Ash, is something that sets apart. We do one price and it includes everything. When you're dealing specifically like within this industry where they've got to go and get board approvals, where they've got to go and work on their budgets for the next year, and you say, cool, here's what your price is. This is a structure. You don't have to worry about all this. It's all included. It's a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh my gosh, finally, why is nobody else doing this? So listen, whatever the focus is, make it easy. And I will tell you, Ash, this is also something that we had to learn because early on we actually had three different price points that made it extremely. We were trying to focus on too many things, right? We're like, well, if you want it just for this use case, it'd be this much. If you want this many agents, it's this much. If you want this use case and this use case, it's this much. Oh, and also if you want an ATM, right, promoting our ATM company as well, it's this price. But if you want, multiple ATMs, it's this price. And so just keep it clean, keep it simple. From there, then just started, growing dramatically.
when you say ATM, is that the ATM machine where we withdraw the money, or
Exactly right.
it is that, right?
It is that. Yep.
And why do you say promoting to ATM companies? Because do the ATM companies also have video chat with their customers in order to sell that service? Is that
So
what we are?
believe it or not, no, actually, we had after we launched MiniBranch with the idea to add value to our ATM company. So we had MiniBranch so that it could promote our ATM company. We've adopted that. There's really no other ATM companies that have done that, which also we're like, that's a whole nother industry that we can go after, knowing that every single one of these ATM companies will want to be able to have access. Because Ash, our ATM company, they provide that video chat, that live chat, the texting, on all the capabilities that can be launched from that ATM by simply scanning the mini branch quick response code that launches that platform. And so
Mm,
now A1 ATM has customers that can go up there. And if they have a transaction question, they could engage in a video chat immediately with the customer service. So, no, that's pretty cool. But our focus has been and continues to be the credit unions and how can we provide that connection. Ash, here is another thing that happened as well, right? So, when COVID happened, as you know, so all of these manufacturers, these distribution centers, these call centers, they were no longer allowing visitors to come in. So these credit unions that will look at this as a way that they could continue to grow because they could show up for the new hire orientations, they could show up for the health fairs, they could sign up all these employees. They no longer had that access. So our ATM company, we could deploy an ATM inside of there, giving them access for the employees to be able to access cash, and then through Mini Branch to be able to provide the connection back to that credit union. So there was a lot of kind of big things that were happening that really led to Mini Branch being able to truly scale and grow as it has.
awesome. And take me through the whole process then. Let's say I am a credit union, right? What do I have to do to have mini branch into our systems? How does that whole process looks like? And how much you're going to charge me?
Nice. Yeah. So we keep it very simple. So actually, another thing I think that sets us apart, Ash, and I always encourage folks to do this as well. If you're going to be taking somebody's time and somebody is taking all of their time to see a demo, right? However long that demo may be, which we like to provide to show them the power of Mini Branch, whether you've got a 30-minute demo, I'm talking for any business that it is you may be running, 15-minute demo, an hour demo, right? Like if you are taking this time out, again, we have to learn a lot of this kind of on the fly, Ash. And early on, what I felt like I needed to do was establish the rapport. Like I had to demonstrate that I'm just a normal guy, just like you. I'm here. I want to help you out. They don't care about that, Ash. They didn't come to hear about my life or hear what I had for breakfast or my vacations that I've got planned or that I just went on. They don't care about any of that. They came specifically to see that piece of software that had interested them enough to go and book a demo. So we eliminated a lot of the fluff stuff, got straight to what it is that they were there for. We identified any pain points. We're identifying them early on. So if you're a credit union, you're coming to me saying, "Yeah, listen, we'd like to, hear and see a little bit more about MiniBranch." First off, I'm asking, like, what pain points do you have? What things have you done so far that haven't worked? Well, we really haven't done much. We're more of a community sized credit union, and the people have kind of come to us. We've been here for 70 years. We started working for this plant, and they kind of, that's who the employees were. And so they've kind of naturally have come here, but we've noticed a decline in foot traffic, as every single financial institution has a decline in foot traffic coming into the branch. And now they're competing against, these fintechs that don't even have a single branch, and they're competing against them, right? Like whether it's PayPal or Zelle or many of these others. So they have to start utilizing technology. And so, again, kind of going back, that they realize that it's there. I'm talking to the credit unions to help them verbalize what their pain points are, so that when I'm talking about how MiniBranch addresses their pain points, it's not like, well, that doesn't pertain to us. That's not our pain point. No, it's exactly what they said to us, within the beginning. And so we're bringing that up, and then we, go over the implementation, which we keep it extremely simple. I mean, Ash, we launch in 4 to 6 weeks. Our competitors are doing, twice that long. We're able to roll out very quickly. We keep the process simple, kind of moving along the entire way. Then we're able to go live, and then we continue to meet with them even after going live. Again, Ash, a huge another differentiator. There's a book, and it's called the Blue Ocean Strategy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Great. I
I
don't know if
have
all the
heard about
listeners
it.
have.
Yep.
They need to go and get this book because it is absolutely incredible. It talks about how you've got the blue ocean, you've got the red ocean, right? The blue ocean it's this pristine water. It's clear. You're the only one there. You're able to look at the shells, the coral. You've got the fish swimming by you. It's peaceful and nice. And then you've got the red ocean. It's where, man, everybody's there. They're all fighting. They're all trying to see the same thing. They all want to see the same fish that's there. They want to see the same dolphin that just bounced by. And it's a bloody mess. Like, it's just everybody over there. So what can you do to create a blue ocean, something that is entirely different than where everybody else is, within the same industry, within the same space, but sets you apart? And Ash, I'm going to share this with you because this has been absolutely a game changer as well. We realized, even just after, listening and reading that book, that our competitors focus on the tools. They focus on the features. They focus on omni-channel. They focus on all these words that most people have no idea even what they're talking about. And we focus on the emotional appeal. We are connecting your members, the member that has been with you for 50 years, that you gave their first auto loan to, that have now moved out of state because of family or because of work, to be able to still be there, to have that relationship with the folks that they know, that they love, that they trust, right? We are there for that 18-year-old girl that has been a member of your credit union since she was 9. Now she's 18. She moved out of state. She's now at college by herself, her first time on her own, and she just realized her account is negative. She got hit with an overdraft fee, but she remembers Rosanna, the teller of a credit union, that's always like, "Hey, good luck. If you need anything, you make sure you reach out to us. Okay, we've got you. We've been here your entire life. We will take care of you." She remembers that as she's there in the dorm by herself, and she jumps on a video chat with the credit union, seeing a familiar face who now helps walk them through how to set up a budget, refunds that overdraft fee. Anything else you need, I'm here for you. So it is that the connection piece, rather than focusing on the widgets and all those other things.
Can you share a moment when you realized the product made a meaningful difference to a member of a credit union team? Something, every company has these testimonials from their customers. Is there a story you can share with our audience?
Honestly, we get so many. So we continue to meet with our partners, every month after they go live. We see many. This is something that's not even just a one-time thing. It was initially, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy," but then we started seeing it more and more. So one of the things that we realized that wasn't even an intention of MiniBranch was like emergency redundance, was like a backup. we didn't realize honestly how common that this was, but that the phone systems would go down and members would not have communication with the actual branch, with the actual credit union. And so we've seen it in multiple instances. I'm talking in Oregon, in Louisiana, in many different states where they're like, Albert, our phone systems went down and we were panicking because we thought that our members were not going to be able to get a hold of us. But thanks to MiniBranch, while the lines were down, the phone lines were down, our communication with our members did not go down. We were able to still maintain the communication with them. We've seen other instances where spammers have sent mass text messages to the membership base of the credit union saying, hey, click this link. You need to reset your password or write whatever these spam emails and texts that you get all of the time. I know I get them too. And the credit union was able to jump in and through MiniBranch send a mass outbound text message to the membership, letting them know, do not click on any links. Anything that you see that has not come from this number was not from us. So we've seen it
Mm,
multiple times where it's been able to, take care of them and help them out. So, I mean, it's been amazing.
great stuff. Um, Before moving to our lightning round, where I got six quickfire question for you, I wanted to ask you about like what sort of trends in digital behavior you think have surprised you and most over the past year, but also where do you see the future of remote banking heading over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see it a lot more. Especially now when you've got agentic AI, you've got all the capabilities where you've got all these AI virtual assistants. Our virtual assistants today, they look a whole lot different than they did in July of 2022, for instance, Ash, because if you remember, it was November of 22 when OpenAI was launched, when they launched ChatGPT. And so that has absolutely transformed the game. And so just the capabilities, a big thing that is now continuing to scale and grow is voice AI capabilities. So we've recently launched voice AI capabilities where if somebody doesn't want to chat, for instance, with the virtual assistant chatbot, they can literally call it up and ask that virtual assistant any type of questions, right? Like, hey, how do I put a travel notification on my card? Where do I go apply for a loan? Another thing that we're starting to see a huge uptick in as well is the credit union staff members having access to their own chatbot that is specifically for internal use. So you've got one that is member facing, right? The customer facing, and then one that is employee facing, where it's got the policies and procedures. They're able to ask questions like, what is the fee for an international wire, right? Because a member just asked them, they could look it up and now it's giving them the answer. So we're seeing a lot more of that. In terms of digital capabilities, no, I mean, it's going to continue to move more and more to that. Again, especially as the credit unions continue to realize we need to adopt this, we need to bring this in, or we're looking at closing out. Ash, the industry that I'm in, which is the credit union industry and the financial industry, it is a consolidating industry, right? Like this year alone, there's, I think, going to be 160 credit unions that will close their doors and now are merging into another financial institution. And with that, I think there's only two that have actually had their charters approved this year to open their doors. So it is a quickly consolidating. And when you take a look at what one of the top three reasons are for consolidation, it usually revolves around technology. Well, we had to because this larger credit union gives our members access to the latest in technology. And so we are eliminating those excuses to be able to provide that access to every credit union, regardless of asset size, with that latest in technology to meet their members
Indeed.
where they are truly.
Indeed, indeed. Well, Albert, thank you so much for sharing all this information. And I'm sure a lot of founders will get a lot of inspiration from your story because you have these golden nuggets of not going towards the product first, go towards the market first, to the customer first, which is amazing. And B, you have to niche out, you have to focus on things where you can find your own blue ocean and create the place to grow. I've got six quick fire questions for you. If at any stage you think you want to skip any of them, just give me a shout and then we can move to the next one.
Sure.
How's that sound?
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
great. What are the top three strategies to generate more leads in 2026?
So good question. So a couple of things. One, I think is emails. Emails are actually still are extremely important. In fact, I will tell you, I know these are quick fire, but man, some of these answers I really want to expound on. So just so you know, early on, what we have to do is we have to partner with a publication that said, hey, if you pay us X amount of thousands of dollars, we will send it out to all of our, those that have opted in, all of our subscribers for you. We liked it, but after a couple of times, you realize like, man, you are limited only to what their list is. And their
Mhm.
list, they were bragging, was tens of thousands. It was impressive. Ash, the problem with it though is that we only wanted to focus on the C-suite level executives, right? Like it's not the teller that's making the decision. It's not that member
Yeah.
service or customer service representative. So we knew early on, we've got a great product. What we need to do now is build a media empire around this product. And so that's exactly what we've done since the end of 22, beginning of 23. Let's build out our own email list. So that's going to be one. A second one is you are your own brand, right? Like, so on your LinkedIn, man, you need to be sharing stuff that's valuable, not just salesy stuff. Everybody's tired of that salesy stuff. When you DM me and you're in one of my DMs on LinkedIn or any other social media, it's all salesy. I know it's all copy and pasted. Listen, I'm not interested in, just, it's not, it doesn't even use my name many times. It just says hello. Sometimes it's in bracket user, right? I'm like, dude, you copy and
Yeah.
pasted this from ChatGPT. Like at least put my name in there to personalize it. So social media though, realizing that you are your own brand, and just be true to yourself because people can sniff you out, right? Like if you're just trying
Mhm.
to appear to be something that you're really not, they're going to be able to identify it very quickly. So emails, social media in terms of just being your own brand. And then, there's a couple other things that we're looking at right now. But I'll be honest with you, I think early on, you really should identify one avenue that you're going to focus on, drill it down, build up the X amount of revenue that you want to get to, whatever that is, 6 figures, 7 figures, and then look at some of the additional avenues. Like, let's do this. I think if you focus on those two, though, in conjunction, that's tremendous. I will say, as a third, if you choose to do, I know we occasionally will do this every couple of months, as we get out and we meet with these folks. It's just good, right? I'm not waiting for them to come to me to set up a demo. I'm going to the conferences, the places where I know that they're all mingling, they're all talking, and we'll go over there as well. And so, that's what has helped us, up to this point.
Indeed, indeed. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Oof, man. There's so many good books. Honestly, I think Blue Ocean Strategy would be at the top of that list right now. That one would certainly be at the top of the list. Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David would be another one that would probably be really close to neck and neck, because it identifies it helps you also identify the fact that you need enemies. Enemies will absolutely drive you. So when you identify and like that competitor, they thought that we couldn't do it. They thought that there was no market. Man, we're going to get out there. We're going to crush them, right? Like when you have a common enemy that your team can unite around, I mean, you become unstoppable. So Choose Your Enemies Wisely would be a great one. Blue Ocean Strategy would be another good one. And, Alex Ramosi came out with a new book also, which was $100 million Money Models. Any of those books, honestly, are good. You can even find them for free. I think he charges very cheap, as well on Audible and those type of things. But
Great stuff. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Uh, you know, there's a couple of things. I think one being relentless, just not stopping. I think the problem is that we get so distracted with so many different things. We knew that it was starting something new that gave us the success that we have right now. And so we feel like we got to go start something else new, right? Like that's what led to this success. So let's go out there and do it. But no, just stay focused until you've built out again to whatever the goal may be, 6 figures, 7 figures. And then if you choose to expand, focus on where you're at though. Don't even go out there yet. Build it up. If you choose to sell it out. If you choose to sell to a venture capitalist or private equity, then by all means, and then you can shift some of your focus to some of those other things. But in the meantime, I would say stay relentless, stay focused. If you can do that, it doesn't matter the amount of doors that get slammed on your face. We had to make it fun, right? Like it was, we actually, when I was back in the branch, even with the staff, Ash, I would come up with a game and it's called Go for the Nose. N-O apostrophe S, not, nose like on your face. And the problem that we kept running into is that, in my case, many of our tellers, many of our customer service representatives at that bank, they'd be like, well, I'm tired of asking people about applying for 0% interest on a balance transfer on their credit card. They just keep telling me no. They would take it personal. It's like, man, listen, I'll tell you, I've done door-to-door sales. Like, you've got to learn you can't take it personal and that it's also a numbers game. And so in that case, what I would share with them and actually would run on Monday, I said, guys, we've got a new competition this week. It's going to be called Go for the Nose. Whoever gets told no the most amount of times, I'm going to be buying you lunch on Friday. So what that did is, Ash, when they were told no, they were actually excited. They're like, yes, that's one more for me, one more for me. At the end of the week, I would then go over the results and I'd be like, hey, guys, just so you guys know, right? John was the winner. He got told no 50 times this week. Oh, and by the way, he also got told yes 10 times this week. So interestingly enough, the one that got told no the most amount of times also got told yes the most amount of times. So it would completely shift their focus where they realize, man, this really is a numbers game. So now they know 1 out of every 5 is going to be a yes. I've got to get through these no's before I get to that yes. So now no longer were they scared of being told no. So that's something
Mm,
else I would add as well.
indeed, indeed. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
I think it is not to have habits, honestly. I think that's been something that has been extremely beneficial is when I take a look at my competitors, they have like a specific routine. I've got to wake up at this time, brush my teeth at this time, work out at this time, have my coffee at this time. And when something throws them off, they're completely thrown off for the whole day. Like it completely throws off their day. So I would say, listen, every once in a while, man, change things up. This way you're not dependent on wearing a specific bracelet or ring or, oh, it's going to throw me off. It's my juju. It's all gone. I'm no longer lucky, right? Like, so if you break that off, right, even if you do it as I'm going to do it for 21 days, I'm going to do it for 3 weeks, change it up each day, then I would encourage folks to do that because it just realizes that, man, you could be good without having that exact cup of coffee at that exact same time in that exact chair or reading that exact book or X amount of chapters per day. Change things up. And I think that'll be extremely beneficial because then you realize that's not going to shake me up if something pops up and throws me off of my routine.
Indeed, indeed. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
Honestly, something that I would love to get into would be helping fund founders, knowing what that process is like to be able to help contribute in terms of capital, to be able to help them scale, to help them crush it. There's so many different, ideas. There's so many different businesses. There's so many incredible people out there that, for most parts, they're getting taken advantage of. They lose sight of the vision. They get distracted again, chasing the shiny objects. So to help kind of keeping them focused, providing some equity, some capital, and let's go and grow this business together, I think would be something that I've talked to my wife about it. That's something that we would love to do. My son, I've got a 15-year-old son, I've got an 8-year-old son. They're always coming up with different little business ideas. I encourage it. I want them to be thinking differently than how the schools teach them, where you've got to be a good employee. You've got to make sure you work at this place for 30 years, 40 years, and then you can retire. Man, forget that junk. Go out there, build something incredible, amazing that people want, people are willing to pay for. At that point, you could do what it is that you want to do. So I would, one other thing that I would add as well. I think it's finally starting to get the proper attention. Many people have taught like, oh, just follow your passion. The problem is that if your passion is just to play drums or to go and plant a garden, right? Like that may not necessarily make you a bunch of money. So pursue and go after what you are good at, what you have a natural talent towards. If it's math, if it's engineering, if it's talking to people, if it's sales, if it's public speaking, like whatever comes natural to you, lean into that and you will become passionate as you start making money from that and it becomes very exciting. Then all of a sudden, oh wow, I actually am pretty passionate about this. And so, yeah, it's something else I would encourage folks as well.
Yeah, yeah. There's a Japanese proverb called ikigai, which is sort of like passion. People can, pay you for that, things like that. And then
Yes.
you draw the three circles and then it's the middle part, which is great. And the last question is, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Whew, man. Let me see. I'm not that interesting of a guy. Ash, I've been to, I don't know, we like to travel. Okay, I'll say that. We love traveling. We've got a trip planned even for next year. We've got Italy. We're looking at Australia. We're trying to hit all of the continents. My boys, me, my wife, we love history. We love traveling. This year, we were able to visit 5 different countries. We were in Ireland and Iceland and Sweden, and we went to England. And then we also, I'm trying to think which other one. Oh, France as well. We did Paris, France. So we love traveling. I don't know. I mean, two things. I think this has been extremely beneficial. And if anybody learns this, I think this would be great for them as well. I love God and I love people, Ash. And when that comes natural, they can see that. They know that you're looking out for them. They know that you're genuine. They know that you're not going to try to pull a fast one on them. And that goes so much further, especially in this industry where they're fairly close knit. It could work for you or it can work against you. And so in my case, if I tell them I'm going to get something done for them, I'm going to get it done. And so, um, and they appreciate it and then they share with everybody else. So yeah, I love traveling, love God, love family, love what I do, love helping folks out, love watching them scale, love watching them succeed. It is not a zero sum game, right? It just because Ash is succeeding doesn't mean that Albert is going to have to now start failing. No, we could both succeed. And so that's what's incredible in the day and age that we live in.
Indeed, indeed. Albert, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking the last years of building this business and some of the ups and downs. If people want to check out the service or people want to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way to do it?
Absolutely. So our website is minibranch.com. You can check me out on LinkedIn. It is Albert Howard. Go feel free, follow me, you can send me a message. Don't make sure it's not salesy. At least put my name if you're going to try to do something, right? But yeah, those are going to be the two best places to be able to get hold of me.
Great stuff. Albert, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and impactful work you're doing. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders
Well,
Podcast.
Ash, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And yeah, anybody needs anything, can feel free to reach out to me.